So welcome again, everyone. And if you want to put in the chat box, please, where you are from right now, joining us, and also where you're from by birth, because we are bringing in the energy of the womb. So welcome again, everyone. And if you want to put in the chat box, please, where you are from right now, joining us, and also where you're from by birth, because we are bringing in the energy of the womb. So welcome again. Okay. And as we go into this womb circle, we'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining us in co-creating this Wombs Without Borders, we call it. And before we get into what we do and how we do it, I'd like to address a question that we were asked, which was, why womb? Why not hearts without borders? We all have hearts, and maybe it will be more inclusive if we speak about hearts, because not everybody carries a womb. And I think it's a really good question, and I'm interested in hearing from the other facilitators what their thoughts on that are. I will give you mine very shortly. The elders that we work with in the Wisdom Weavers of the World and Global Center for Indigenous Leadership in Lifeways and Wombs of Peace, which is where I come from. And DeAnna Lam from Red Tents in Every Neighborhood, the co-weaver of this event. When we thought about that and consulted with our elders say we need to shift our consciousness. Now, a shift is not just replacing this with that, but you know, it's a deep change. It's like a tectonic plate shift, right? It goes to the root, to the depth. And when we look at our current consciousness of humanity, where it's life is short, resources are limited, gotta fight, compete for our existence against all other selves. It's very much like a sperm consciousness, very imbalanced masculine, because we are not balanced. We forgot the other side, the other possibility that we're all coming from, which is the egg, not just the sperm, which is the femininity that we all know because it's in us, and also it was around us. That was our initial existence, but we have forgotten. We've all been in the womb, but we've all forgotten it. And actually nature deposited the future in the forgotten feminine. So in order to restore that, we need to re-heart, remember that, which is why we have gathered these wonderful facilitators to help us do that. And so they will share from their heart and their womb, from this moment, in this present, their presence. And thus they will create the central circle. That will be the first hour. Then we will have a song from a very special singer. And then we will close the recording and the YouTube, and we'll go into breakout rooms where each facilitator will host a womb circle in a womb room, a breakout room, with a handful of participants on Zoom. There you are invited, our Zoom participants, to share from your heart and womb in the way that I will explain in a minute. I just want to say that this time we have also options in case something triggers you or you feel overwhelmed, because when we go into these deep places, this might happen. We have a present heart room where you can just be witnessed and be held without touch, without the limitations of 5 minutes to share. I will be there without fixing or guiding or healing or advising, just supporting you, and then you can become the supportive wall of that womb when someone else needs that support. because support is reciprocal. And speaking of reciprocity, if you would like to nourish back our elders and facilitators and allow us to do more of this work, you can do that with the link that Kat will put in the chat box in a minute. And if you feel that this is an order that you would like to explore further and go deeper into the teachings of the womb, then you can connect with DeAnna and go deeper with her in a free conversation that she's offering. Also with the link that Kat will be putting in the chat box. Now, as to the guidelines of these circles, we are basing these circles on traditional indigenous talking circles, as our late elder Rita Blumenstein calls them. She has found that with every indigenous culture she's met, there are these guidelines of shared thing that happens in different forms in different cultures, but they share the same guidelines. So with your permission, I will read them, because the first thing about the guidelines is that we gotta read them, even if everybody knows what a talking circle is. Just like we set the table before every meal, even though everyone knows where the forks are, okay? So this is a talking circle. We let the circle do the talking. We are doing the listening. Even when we speak, we listen to ourselves as if we're in the audience. So it doesn't really matter if the words come from my mouth or my other self's mouth. And if something is already said that you thought about, then that just means that you resonate very well. You don't need to re-say it, repeat that, okay? The circle does the talking. In a sense, listen like a child hearing something for the very first time. Think about the first time you ever heard there's such a thing as platypus or pyramid or unicorn. Without questioning, is it true? Is it not true? But wait, I gotta check. No, first you just absorb the story without judgment. Even if you're usually a deer and now the lioness is talking, find the lioness in you and try and experience that from her point of view. Choice. You don't have to speak if you don't want to, okay? You can just be quiet, or maybe you will share a song or something else, but you don't have to. We do want everyone to have a choice of at least once to speak in a circle. So please be mindful of time, be respectful of time and of other people's attention, and also of yourself and of other selves in the circle and outside of the circle. To do that, we speak only about ourselves and the things that we know. And knowing is not knowledge that we've been taught, but something that you yourself know to be true through your own lived experience. And respect the fact that even if someone was with you in the situation and you're sure they experienced the same thing, their truth may be different. They're a different person, okay? And it might be even opposite to yours, even contradicting. But just like the womb teaches us, we can be hungry and nauseous at the same time. We can have more than one heart in the same body, okay? Let's expand, even if it's not so comfortable, and allow that to happen as the womb does. When we listen without agenda, without planning my response, without marketing or teaching or correcting someone else. Just put a story next to a story, like a potluck, like a shared meal, where you don't have to push someone else's pasta to put your salad. They can be just residing on the same table, and people with different palates and different plates can decide what to pick without, again, denouncing or renouncing any of the dishes. Just pick whatever nourishes you. Truth. Yeah, we've spoken about speaking our own truth, and confidentiality. So the first part is going to be broadcasted and recorded, but the second part, when we go into the breakout rooms, Whatever happens in the circle stays in the circle. It's really important. Even if you meet one of the people after the circle and you want to respond to something they said or they experienced, don't just do it. Ask for permission from the person you want to speak to. And if you want to mention someone else, get their permission as well. And ask, which means you could say, someone can say no. Okay, because some things that happen in these circles belong to only that time and place and may not be relevant, or people may not want to engage in it beyond the circle. So respect that too. And if anyone wants to suggest any changes or any additions to that, please say it now. So you can unmute yourself and or write in the chat box if you don't want to unmute. And we could reach something that will be right for everybody. Okay. Speaking of things that are right for everyone, let's become love. Yes. Thank you, Kat. So to have a safe, brave space enough for people to share in that way, we have choices for the breakout rooms. So we have all genders, which is if you want to, or if you don't mind, or if you want an all gender circle, you don't need to do anything. Yasmin, our tech expert, will put you into one of these rooms. If you want women only, because we know some women are triggered even by having other genders around, they close up, and we want to be open and allow people to be vulnerable. So you can ask Yasmin right now in the chat box, you can write to her, and you'll be put in a women only room, womb room. The other things that we have are in the main room. There is going to be just music in case you don't want to engage in words anymore and you just want to dance or just close your eyes and be with the music. And again, the present heart room, if you feel triggered by something that was said in the first hour, or even if you are in your breakout room and someone says something that triggers you, you can click leave room, not leave meeting, but leave room. You'll go back to the main room and Yasmin will help you get to the present heart room where I will be. Okay, and I think we are done with explanations, and we may begin with the circle. So thank you. And Auntie Puna, if you can lead us with the opening prayer. Is she there?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, but I can't see you.
I'm here.
Yasmin, can you please spotlight Puna?
It's not. Aloha, everyone. And Yael is saying that I'm here to offer the blessing. The blessing is all of us. The fact that we all have come together in the sharing of all of these moments. It's the ability that we have as humankind to not only be who we are, but to acknowledge the place that we are, to acknowledge the time that we are. And in the sharing, understanding, we all hold the light that becomes a reality at our conception in the womb. That light belongs to only us. It is our light, and it continues to live and be a part of who we are up until and even into the next life. I want us to call on that light. We often forget, some of us, I'm looking at all of us, and some have gray hair, some have none. Right? And I wear my gray hair with pride, And I celebrate. I wish I was like you, Susanna. I wish it was all that color, because it reminds me of the women and the family members, gentlemen that came before me and held me as a child. I'm calling upon that light that is within all of us from that moment of conception. How brilliant that light was in that moment. And look at us today. How we have been able to go through the challenges of mankind, man who is kind. How we are able to connect with all that the world has to offer, both the sadness and the joy. When we take the time to remember the light that sits within us, I encourage everyone to take that light, look into the eyes of people who are in and near you, and let them see your soul. That's when your light is its brightest. This is a time of celebration and acknowledgement. When we care for ourselves, the ability for us to care for others is even greater. But it begins with ourselves. It's not being selfish, it's being responsible. So in this time together, let us celebrate the light that burns within us, and let us share it throughout the world. Let us be the blanket of peace that our world needs at this time. Take away all of the separation. We are one breath. So with me, put your hands in front of your mouth, breathe into your hands, and let them out. Let that breath continue to circle our earth and be a presence of our soul in helping to care for the world that we are responsible for the people that we are gifted to, and to reciprocate in the love that is shared with us. Mahalo. Aloha.
Mahalo, Auntie. That was so beautiful. May it be so. Thank you for the blessing. And DeAnna,
Yes.
Auntie Puna reminded us of the light, and I realized I didn't light the candle yet. So I'm trusting you to tell us when to light the candles, if you can take us into the womb.
Now, the moment of power is always now. So if you have a candle, this is time to kindle the light and to bring the light into our midst. And to take a few breaths of taking the light in. Taking the light and shining it in our heart. Breathing in the light and shining it in our womb. Bringing in the light into the whole of us. And being here now. I'd like to begin with a thread connecting us to the other first womb circle we've done on International Women's Day. I heard from a woman in the UK whose daughter, 10 years old, has listened to our meditation, and she at 10 decided to take upon herself, inspired by our circle, daily meditation on Putin when he was a baby. There is a 10-year-old girl in the UK who's meditating and sending love to baby Putin every day. And she came to her mom after a while and she said, "How come the war hasn't stopped yet? I'm doing it. I'm praying every day. I'm seeing the innocence every day." And the first thing that came up was to say, tell your daughter I'm asking myself the same question. But then what came is the womb as a teacher of patience. We conceive a child, we wait, and we grow, and we nourish, and we love, and we become impatient, and we wait, and we want it to be born already, and we wait, and the moon waxes and wanes, and we wait, because impatience is what gets us to pull the trigger. Patience is what gets us to trust. We trust the process of the womb that takes time. We trust the process of the womb that is connected without separation. There is no free space in the womb. Every single inch and centimeter is taken by life. There isn't where one ends and the other begins. Mother and baby are one. And this is true for us in our psyche as well. We don't have to conceive a baby to know the wisdom and the teachings of the womb. Inviting us to place our palms on our womb now, if you have a womb, physical flesh and blood, or etheric if it was removed. And place your palms on your heart if you do not have a womb. Let's breathe here for a moment. And call on our Mother Earth, Ima Adama, Mother, Ima, Mama, Ma. Please forgive us for forgetting you, for acting as if you're not alive under our feet, for acting as if the world begins with us without chains of generations and ancestors. Forgive us for acting without patience. Forgive us for acting without loving. Forgive us for forgetting the womb of the earth, the womb of the world, the womb of our being, the place where no separation exists. We are here to bring harmony to where harm is. Everywhere around the world where there is conflict, we send our womb and heart, knowing there is a different way, another way, the way of the womb. And we beam it from our wombs and hearts now as another possibility. I was told meditation does not stop bullets. And bullets don't stop bullets either. Bullets stop life. Our womb visions, our heart visions create another option. And it is when we have options, we have choices. We are not in a straitjacket. And we always have options. And our wombs and hearts will always show us another way. Another possibility. Aligning ourselves from our wombs to the wombs of our mothers, from where we each came, the wombs of our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers and those who came before them, all the way to the womb of Mother Earth, the womb of creation. This is where we come from, and this is the vision we spread. And we have patience because the birth is coming. Let's breathe together again. And with our eyes closed, begin to return our consciousness into this moment, into our physical body, into the room where we are, remembering the colors and shapes and objects around us, remembering we're part of a huge circle around the earth, connected hearts to wombs, wombs to hearts. And when we each feel fully here in our body, in this moment, in this time, allowing our eyes to gently open. Aho, thank you.
תודה רבה, DeAnna. And can I ask Kelly to share from your heart and your womb, Kelly?
Aloha, beautiful beings of light. I'm speaking to you from beautiful Kauai Island. And it's a deep honor to be here in this womb space together, harmonizing our heartbeats, harmonizing the movement of blood through our bodies. And I'm after this beautiful meditation, thank you, DeAnna, I just felt like those Russian dolls where you could feel the big doll and the little doll getting smaller. I could really feel myself inside the wombs of my mother and my grandmother and great grandmother in the most visceral way today. And it just feels so ancient and delicious to feel held, to feel that physical closeness and tenderness and life-giving energy. And I wanted to share a beautiful experience I had this week with some young women here on the island, where I was invited to share deep tenderness and care for a young woman who had recently had an abortion. And her sisters rallied around her and said, how can we support her and really help her body and her spirit clear this trauma she's gone through for the very particular reasons that was her life path? And how could we help her be ready to become a mother when she was going to be ready and not carry that deep pain and that deep loss and that grief in her body from that moment? And so we gathered at a beach and we brought flowers and we brought oils, and there were 9 of us around her in a circle, and we called it a whale womb ceremony. And just off the coast, right up, we could see there were whales, mama whales and baby whales. And so we synced up our hearts and our wombs with the wombs of the mother whale and the baby whales, and we had anointed this young woman and we sang to her, and it was just so delicious to feel that connectedness, that deep intimacy. I felt like I was her grandmother, and I was just caressing her cheeks, and other women were massaging her feet. And I felt, what an incredible honor to be in this intimacy and to nourish this womb. And I felt, what if all women and men gave this kind of intimacy, just as we tend our gardens and our vegetables and the flowers, and we smell their aromas and we say, you're so beautiful. How different this world will be when we give that to each other. And it was so beautiful at the end, from all the different oils and the flowers, there was a unique aroma in the air from this young woman's body, from all the different energies. And I thought, wow, this is her smell now, just like a mother smells a child. And I feel like now when I see her, I'm going to smell that smell. And I thought, how beautiful to do this for the young women on this island before they have trauma, and help them find their own unique smell from the oils. And I know smell is a deep memory place. And so I wanted to share this beautiful ceremony with everybody and to feel this incredible tenderness of connection that we can keep creating in the womb of every day with each other, of life-giving energies, and helping our bodies to soften deeper into that peace and that care. Because like Auntie Puna said, when we take that self-care, we are peace and we are love, and we can show up in the world with that fuller essence in our bodies. Blessings to everybody, and may we all be nourished in this tenderness together today. Mahalo. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. And how beautiful that you in Hawaii were bringing the smell, which we can't see, yet we can feel. And Auntie Puna was also reminding us of the breath that we can't see, but we all feel. So thank you for the Hawaiian spirit. So beautiful. And Prajna, you're also on Hawaii, so maybe we can weave you in. Do they see what Hawaii brings through you?
Aloha, everyone. It's funny, I was just speaking to you in my heart, Yael, feeling the silence. So I will offer just a few simple words of my deepest gratitude and respect to be here among you all. And my elders are always teaching that each moment that we're together like this, just fully present and endeavoring to be in our hearts, sends a pulse out, an electromagnetic pulse out. And this pulse is very real. And so I feel very honored to add my breath, add my love to this moment of peace. And we had actually council earlier this morning before this council, and so much of the message was that these are very delicate days. And so may this time together really nurture you and fill you. And one of the elders shared that during the day, like it could be a full spectrum of emotion that we might be feeling right now in this window of time, like from the depth of despair to a moment of like ecstatic, unified ecstasy. And so just being really patient and kind inside, as Auntie Puna is always teaching us. And so, science is really catching up to what indigenous wisdom has really always understood, and that our heart coherence really does affect the whole, that this field informs matter. And so this is a powerful practice that is actually serving life around us. And may you feel this ripple in your own families and communities. And may we continue to create these spaces of peace and coherence and love. And excited for the breakout rooms to have the opportunity to speak just unscripted, raw, and real from our hearts, and really validating that what comes through this presence, through really deeply listening to one another, is often, at least for me, maybe you're different, but it's beyond the realm of regular cognitive thinking, right? Like there's a higher wisdom that we all have access to, a higher intelligence that enlivens the universe. And so I feel when we practice like this opening to presence, opening to our own hearts, opening to one another deeply, and opening to her, this intelligence comes through. And this feels like a very essential practice during this profound time of transformation as we look to repattern so much of society, and we move from the imbalance or this myth of separation back into the reality of our wholeness. And so I just offer my love and appreciation and deepest gratitude.
Thank you, Prajna. As you were talking about the field of energy that we create, those who were with us last time, you remember the yam that I was yelling at? And this is the one that that we gave love to, and the other one is in the compost. I thanked it and apologized and sent it to the compost, and this is the one from last time. And I see Kelly's plants moving behind her. So thank you for reminding us how important it is what we put out into the world and how effective it is, Prajna. And Iya, can I ask you to share next, please?
Thank you. I was thinking what came to me is the opposite of this. When we're talking about the womb, what's present in the womb. And when we know that we're born into this, we initially take on this light into the womb, but the conditions by which we are born in sometimes interrupt that process and creates the trauma that we go through. And sometimes when we can dive and go back into that womb, we can do our own personal healing. And that's one of the processes that I have used in doing my own womb healing. And it also puts us in a place to offer forgiveness, because a lot of times we blame our mothers or blame the situation we're born into. But we're born into that situation shapes us in the womb of the mother. It depends on where the mother is and what her level of maturity is. Where is that mother? And if we take, for example, even a young woman who is raped and forced to bring her child through that situation, we have to go back and look at the conditions of that and how it informed that life force energy, and realize that in that, bringing that forth and healing it. And what I learned is that when we heal this womb, we become medicine for ourselves and others. We could become the medicine for that generation to go forward. And so that's what is so important, that we tune this piece of work and not generalize that we already carry that light in all aspects. But what is it in helping people to come to reconcile those pieces that are wounded and broken within the womb and honor it as a lesson? What have you taught me? This place of forgiveness and yielding into it and holding that and thinking it. So that's my offer when we come to womb healing, is to encourage us to not be afraid, but to go into that space and feel that space. And in these circles, we can help individuals to hold that space and be willing to walk to the other side of that pain and that trauma. So thank you for listening. And that's what I bring to the circle of womb healing.
Thank you so much, Iya. I've been having a blind spot on my right eye for the past few months now. And when I was asking it what it needs, I was working basically with breath and with my blood. When my blood time was coming, I was asking the blood to go to all the places in the body and take out whatever it doesn't need. And my eye doctor is very impressed with the improvement. So thank you for reminding us of our ability to really go deep and find healing forces in us. And my lesson was also to ask for help when we need it. So thank you for that. And Suzanne, usually you and Iya have these wonderful conversations. So I would like to bring you in.
Okay,
If that's okay.
of course. Well, I'm going to talk about the same thing. I have my art class every week, and I have to make sure we get a lot of thoughts down and a lot of ways to approach art and the arts. And so I'm just going to follow the same thing I'm going to be teaching them this week. And it certainly has what to do with what each person is saying. And so the first thing that, and I'd like to ask you as though you're my art students, if that's okay. So my first question is, who am I? And what I suggest is that when you go back to your homes or domiciles or wherever today, if you take down some of these notes, fill them in yourself about yourself. Who am I? This is what I'm doing with my art students this week, and they know that's coming, so they're so anyway, that's the first thing, is who am I? And the second thing is, what is fear? We've got fear wandering all around us every day, every hour, every minute. Turn on the radio, turn on the TV, watch someone fighting outside. Thank God our deer that come in the yard are not fighting. They do a few nibble things, but they don't fight. Thank God. So I want to have to talk about the fact, and that's already been mentioned, about we have a choice. We have a choice for how we're going to act or react in our culture and in anywhere of human beings, animals, trees, flowers, stuff to eat. It applies to everything. And so we have a choice, because when we get into fear, we're reacting to something, and we're in conflict, which is a big one. And the conflict comes from confusion, because everything's coming at us from here and there and everywhere. And so what happens is we get irritable, we get assumptions, we've got feelings, but then we are responsible for what we think. And so I'm saying it to my students, you are responsible for what you think, because it is only at this level can you exercise choice. And that's mind development. And that's something that our culture does not teach. You get around a bunch of Buddhists, a bunch of Taoists, you're right in there. But in our culture is, huh? So I have to, it's okay. So only at that level of saying, who am I? And going into my mind, which the mind is the most powerful thing that we have on the earth. The most powerful thing. Now remember, I'm not negating the heart, so I'm not negating anything else that's been said here. I'm just saying, when we put all these little things together and cook them all up, we've got some big deal with our bodies, our beings. So we're responsible for what we think, because it is only at this level that we can exercise a choice in mind development. And through that, you should ask for a guide to help in the conditions that have brought the fear about. You have a guide. We all have a guide. Yeah, each culture calls it something else, but we know what it is, God or Brahman or whatever. But ask for that help. And that's the guide for us, to help us see the conditions that brought the fear about. And we're in conditions all the time, but most of the time we don't think about it. You know, we got to think, oh, what are we getting for dinner? And oh, who's coming over today? And oh, what am I going to do with my class next week? So we want to find out, what are the conditions that we can correct that cause us fear? Every day I watch the news. I was born in Detroit, Michigan. I live in Canmore, Alberta. But every day I watch the news, because it teaches me. It teaches me another side of humans. Killing, fighting, yelling, hollering, carrying on, outrageous. But some people say, why do you watch that stuff? I said, it's not stuff. It's what goes on in the mind that comes out in your being. And so what happens is that we haven't looked at the fundamental error of reaction and retaliation. And so with my students, every time they come, then they're doing some really interesting stuff, really good stuff. So, and I've taught in the university, teaching university art for years and years and years. And these people have hardly had any art. And I said, doesn't matter, you've got it all inside yourself. Yeah, every one of you have all the art you need inside yourself. Doesn't matter what it is. songs, drawings, photography, poems, it doesn't matter. It's in you, but we're not taught in our culture to mine that source. And this is what bothers us, is we don't have the courage for change. We don't have the courage for change. Oh my God, I gotta change the way I do that. I gotta just think of something else to eat. It's what's the going on? It's we're creating whatever creation you're doing, we're creating in the whole universe to find out, who am I? So that question is one that a big one for the arts, and it affects all of you. I don't care if you say, well, I'm not an artist. Yes, you are. Inside you are. Yes, you are. So what happens is that when you make artwork, whether it's dance, music, poetry, novels, musicians, anything that's creating something, you're right away creating to find out what I'm expressing, what I'm sharing will decide who am I. Because we're taking that inner self that you're all talking about, we're taking that outside ourselves and starting to create something, whether it's a novel, poem, and any of those things, music. And I listen to the composers and their lives and all that, and I chuckle most of the time because they're in those same things, competition, fear, blah, 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 blah. But when they produce these beautiful musical parts that we're listening to, I just weep. I hear so many beautiful, beautiful classical music, and I just lose it. I just sit there and cry. And a friend comes over and says, "What's wrong, Suzanne?" I said, "I'm listening to music." Ha, 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 ha. We all laugh. But that's what the arts are about. And what is this doing is what every one of us is capable of creating something. And that's what I challenge every one of you with, is what you're doing with your art is you're expressing who you are by bringing your inside outside. And that's where, excuse me?
Thank you, Suzanne.
Oh, well, but that's, and so I have my students say, when they, okay, I say, okay, guys, we're going to do a new competition. Okay, so get the stuff out. So you get their stuff out, and they're all sitting there. I'm saying, what's the matter? Well, we're afraid we're going to wreck it. And I said, wreck what? There's not a thing on your piece of paper. What are you going to wreck? And they haven't even thought through that because they think the fear comes in, the confusion, the reaction comes up. And I keep telling them, expressing is sharing. Are you afraid to share yourself with each other? That's what happened. All creativity is sharing the unknown in you. You don't know what's in there until you start putting the music notes down. So you start writing the poem. So you word the first sentence of your novel. Or till you go and play with the orchestra today. You're bringing your inside out, which is the unknown. We don't like the unknown. Because we're afraid. That goes back to the fear. What are you afraid of? That I'll fail or that I'll ruin it. And I say, what's it? If you can ruin it, that's fine. So the expression of we're going from thinking to hearing to feeling. And so that's what creating is about in whatever you are creating. But that's what my connection is with the world today. When I look at everything that's going on, I'm just more Buddhist than anything else, because I say, I am that. Putin is a human being. What he's doing is another level and another criticism. but we're all part of wrong decisions, lack of imagination, following along with whatever anybody else says. But each one of us have to do with what's happening in the world today. And it is already mentioned in here, forgiveness. Forgiveness. When you forgive someone else, who have you forgiven? Yourself. When you can't forgive someone else, you can't forgive yourself. So good luck. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be teaching with my classes, and they're like, oh, help, here she comes. But anyway, the prayer that I have, that I say every day, Holy Spirit, straighten out my mind. I'm mixed up. Because I've looked at myself in the morning at that, oh, there you are, pissing on what's happening with the Ukrainians and all that stuff. They're human beings. Just like me and you, the rest of us. So then I say, oh, Holy Spirit, my mind's in confusion, straighten it out for me. Then I have to shut up and listen. And it comes. And then I say, phew, I've got a lot of work to do inside here. So that's it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Welcome.
Maya Angelou often was quoting Terence, the ancient Greek sage who said, nothing human is alien to me. Thank you for reminding us of that, for the courage to create rather than react with fear. May it be so.
Thank you.
And Helen, can you speak to us from the same place as Suzanne?
Helen? Yeah, I'm
In
here.
different ways.
She's yelling because that's the pre-technology way to
She's got her device up.
She's downstairs and she's yelling to me. And today I said, well, you know, we've got this womb circle today. And she said, well, what are we talking about? This is Suzanne. And I said, well, the womb. And she said, well, what does that mean? And I said, well, the womb is a cavity. And Suzanne said, no, it's a container. And I said, no, what's a cavity? And so this brings me back to DeAnna talking and setting us into that we're all different and we share from a different complexity and way of seeing the world. And Ia's words also brought to me my birth in August, a hot day in August in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And my mother always told me that she was alone in the hospital giving birth to me. I was her second born. And she said my father was not there. In those days, it was kind of, they definitely were just waiting around in the hospital for the baby to pop out, and they didn't want to be in amongst all those fluids and screaming and so on. But he didn't even bother to show up until I had popped out. And she was so mad at him because she'd been there to do all of this. And he came in and he'd had a few drinks and he was with his sister. And he wanted to get the grass planted, the seed planted, because there was going to be a big thunderstorm that night. So that's what I popped out into. The fecund earth, the rain, the welcome of the sprouting plants, and yet a resentment between the partners who were bringing life forth into the world. And it was no wonder that I turned into a bridging kind of personality where I was very close to my mother and became almost like the little triangle to connect her with her husband, my father, who I was very close to as well. So in talking today about that womb thing, is it a cavity? Is it a container? What the heck is it? I kind of thought, what what is the womb? And so I found this massive dictionary on the floor of the studio I'm in right now that I usually use to press kind of wrinkled collages. And I opened it up and I looked for the word womb just to see what the Oxford English Dictionary had there for the definition. And it was pages long, and the writing was so tiny that I had to take a picture with my modern device of this old book and then, you know, expand it in the, you know, it through the gaze of my device. And I found some interesting words which are from the male gaze, and they're certainly not indigenous. They harken back to the 1300s. And I just wanted you to kind of close your eyes and breathe into some of these words that have been used around the word womb. And I just found them fascinating. So like in the 1300s, I found this: the heart hath two hollownesses, and these two hollownesses are called the wombs of the heart. In the womb of the heart is a piece shaped as an ear without. Then I found from the 1700s, naked from the womb, we yesterday came forth. Isn't that amazing? Naked from the womb, we yesterday came forth. From the 1800s, like hints and echoes of the world to spirits folded in the womb. From the same time, 1800s, a hollow space or cavity, or something conceived as such, for example, the depth of the night. From the 1600s, when the wind is gathered into that hole and tossed to and fro in the womb of it, there is to be heard, as it were, a musical sound. Again from the 1600s, what earth will open her devouring womb to rest a weary goddess in the tomb? The last one from 1776, the various unforeseen events that are ripening in the womb of the future. I leave you with those to ponder and feel in your inner container or cavities.
Thank you, Helen. So happy you had that heavy book. It's so beautiful. Kim, can I ask you to go next and share from your presence?
Sure. Thank you, Yael. I also want to be mindful of our time coming up so that everyone else has an opportunity to share in the breakout room. So I'll be very brief. I just want to give gratitude to all of you and the ancestors that are with you, that are present here in this circle, for this opportunity to be with you today and to say so much of what was said before touched me in a way that I felt like a ping pong ball a little bit, starting with the words about the light that we're each carrying and how it's unique to each one of us. And it reminded me of a song when I was a child, which I'm sure many of you know, that this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. It just has been playing over and over in my head. And then that connected when Ia was talking about, how there is trauma sometimes around being born. I'm a second generation adoptee, and my birth mother was most assuredly not a fan of my coming into the world. And I happened to be around her for the vast majority of my life. She passed when she was 57. I'm actually older than she was when she passed. And then when Suzanne talked about, each one of us has a gift, that brought me back to that light that we each carry, and being able to have the courage and the bravery to share that gift out and being creative. But what it all ties around for me is that connection to the mother, to Mother Earth. That each single cell, each single bit of us is connected and part of Mother Earth. And that forgiveness that we need to express for forgetting her. So thank you for that reminder. And thank you for this beautiful circle and for this opportunity to be with you all.
Thank you, Kim. Well, when Helen was talking about the ear at the heart, I'm always reminded as a foreigner looking at English that the word heart has at its center the ear, and heart and earth are the same letters. It's only the H that travels from beginning to end. And I feel that you have taken us through that journey and reminded us that even if our human moms, we had a hard relationship with her, there is still a greater mother that has invited us all to be here now on this planet. So thank you for that reminder and for your honest sharing. Olivia, can I ask you to go next? And just for our audience to know, Olivia will be the last presenter. We also have another facilitator, Maria, but she has asked to share in the smaller circle in the breakout room. So Olivia, if you can go next.
Thank you, Yael. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to invite whoever wishes to join me into an experience of feeling inside our own bodies. When this event started, I was feeling into actually my disconnection from myself today, and thinking about how a lot of people say, but how do I feel my heart? And in this case, how do I feel the safety and warmth and divine feminine of the womb? And what I want to offer in this moment is for all of us to allow time to be slower, to feel time, and purposely allow it to slow down. And hone in. And for the past almost hour, I've been placing, if you wish to try this, one hand on the heart and one hand on the womb. And allowing each breath to alternate between the two. As if there's a center point of light in the chest, and a center point of light deep in the lower body. And as we breathe, this light opens and emanates. And our capacity to be curious about our inner sensation gives us the opportunity to know ourselves as however we are in this moment. We don't have to feel good. We don't even have to have the capacity to feel. Perhaps what we feel is warmth. Perhaps it's numbness. Or whatever it is, that's not the point. The point is that we are paying attention, that we are here in this moment with ourselves. So I invite, as I speak, whoever wishes to allow with each in-breath the space of the womb, whether for our bodies it is physical or not, allowing our awareness there, feeling our energy in this area as our awareness expands with the breath. And with our intention, giving ourselves tenderness, giving every cell and every energetic, metaphorical cell more space to breathe, to be free. And then with the next breath, doing the same with the chest. And whatever we feel, it's okay. We're finally giving ourselves presence. Personally, I feel constriction in the chest. Perhaps you have trouble feeling anything, whatever it is for you. We bring this timelessness, this care, this breath. Sometimes our culture tells us that we have to be a certain way. Oh, my heart is supposed to be open. Instead, we remember that we are always fully capable. And in any moment, there is going to be trauma somewhere. And these are always simultaneously existing while we are in a human body. And so our tenderness and our moment-to-moment experience always have the opportunity to meet. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you for allowing us to go in and meet. And we have a special guest, Miriam Tukan, who is a singer and a friend. And the sound isn't proving to be all that good. So Miriam, I thought maybe you can share your words and then we can play your clip. I wanted Miriam to come and be with us because I love her, and also because she's an Israeli Arab musician. And her last song is talking about trusting your voice. And as we go into sharing our special light that it's been like a thread, our special gift of each of us, I think we need to trust ourselves. So, Alma Dai Baksha. So Miriam can maybe speak from your heart, in your womb, whatever comes to you, and then we can play the clip. And then we'll go into breakout rooms.
Hello, marhaba, shalom, salam. Few minutes ago, I got a message from friends and from the family about, again, another horrible news in Israel-Palestine. So I am a bit worried. I am a bit sad. We have this feeling, and Yael know what I'm going through in this moment, because we are the people of the Holy Land, the land that have the light and have the dark days, the difficult days. And it's the moment this is at least my belief and my colleagues' belief, that we, the women, we will make the change. We, the women, we have to take the lead, to spread the light, to spread the faith, and to trust our voices. The word trust was not on front of my eyes for a long time. And there was the hope, the peace, the love, the war, the darkness. And a friend of mine wrote a poem and call it Trust Your Voice. And when I read it, I felt how it's necessary, how it's important to trust our interior voice and to trust the other. When you trust the other, you can make things in common. You can talk together. You can start you can start to know each other and to know what would be the best solution. And this is what is happening in our country. We don't have this trust. And without it, it's, I don't like to say, but it's impossible to take steps further without this trust. First, to trust ourselves, our interior voice, and it's important to trust the other to go on. So this is why I decided to release the song in these times. It is a collaboration between women from Palestine, Israel, and Cordoba in Spain, where I am living now. And I hope you will like it, and I hope to reach the time, to reach to the point that we can trust you, trust ourselves, and to make steps further for the peace and for the love and for more and more hope in these times.
Thank you. Yasmin, can you please play the clip? Thank you.
Aman aman, aman, علي صوتك ما تخافي منك وحدك صار الوقت لنعلي الصوت بلكي بيوعى هالإنسان وبيتغير Trust your voice علي صوتك ما تخافي منك صار الوقت لنعلي الصوت بلكي بيوعى الإنسان Trust your voice Make it sound as if it's your own Make it so you speak it out Make sure it doesn't speak Trust your voice Make it loud and clear Use it to strengthen you
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you so much. And now we'll say farewell to our YouTube viewers and to the recording. And we will go into breakout rooms where in each room we'll have a womb room, a womb circle with the guidelines from the beginning. So we will put them in the chat box again. Can you put please the link to the guidelines so that people can click and see them? And Yasmin, you can start sending us to our breakout rooms.
Great.
And again,
Hi, Grace. Hi. Would you like me to put the music on right now in case anyone comes back, or?
Alamay mangan hallantan, hayi sargala, aralayan gelir. Alacağım keh